Hi Jay, how you doing? All right, this is really good, and I think your writing is very interesting. I don't know if you had a chance to look at my video response to Catherine's post, but we talked a little bit about the ethics here, and it sounds like you're kind of on the same you kind of sign on the same wavelength here. Is that this is kind of scary and awesome at the same time, and then your comment that says you prefer the original, and then it's just kind of it's a strange thing for a designer to go in and actually change the shape of people's faces with the intent of ultimately selling a product. And I think that's where the question of ethics comes in. I think that we should look at this project right now. Now, look, when you get in your design career, if your ethics outweigh um, um, your employer's desire for you to actually go in and change the physical attributes of an individual, that's something that will have to that'll come up at that time, right? But right now in this educational setting, I think that it's really smart for you to push your technique here, and you did. You really pushed the technique. I think it's great. I love it. I think based on your writing here, I've learned quite a bit about what you've learned, and that's what this is all about, right? This is all about learning. Me learning from you, you learning from me, and both of us learning from Photoshop. So I think that your writing is really fascinating. You did a great job describing everything you've done, and it looks like you took the foresight to put an adjustment layer on this image before you started. It's really important to understand that any image you're ever going to get as a graphic designer is going, unless another designer has prepared the image for you. But I can honestly say that I haven't received an image in 25 years where I haven't had to create some adjustments to it. So adjustments are one thing, retouching is another. There's a lot of money in retouching. There really are. There's a lot, in a freelance capacity, there's a lot of folks that are interested in having old photos retouched. And that's something different where you're just kind of rebuilding the photo based on fixing the damaged areas, repairing damaged areas to their original state. Or a reasonable facsimile of such, right? But this is something a little bit different where we're actually kind of pushing this portrait to the logical and ethical boundaries of image manipulation. So I found your writing to be very interesting in that sense. I again, I think you've done a great job here. I think you've really showed this kind of logical progression from the extreme to something that would be considered middle of the road. And I find your comment very interesting that you prefer this image over the other three. And a lot of people do. A lot of designers prefer untouched portraits. I mean, that's just a lot of folks prefer untouched portraits. But from a commercial standpoint, it's very much desired for people selling products to make the people selling those products or the models helping them sell those products to appear to be flawless. And that is the state of the industry right now. It's been the state of the industry for many decades. And eventually, I think it'll change. What we see starting to get back more into some natural settings for people, models associated with products. We see more full-size models, both male and female. We see a lot of diversity in models. So I think we're pointed in the right direction. I think that the heyday of this was in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s. Well, actually, I shouldn't. From the 70s to the probably 2010 or so before people really started saying, hey, what is going on here? You know, we want to see people as they naturally look, not in this kind of really over exaggerated digital embellishment. So just as long as you're kind of looking at both sides of the coin here, understanding the ethical ramifications and as they relate to your position as a designer within a firm or a freelance situation. So, all right, great job. Absolutely excellent job. I really enjoyed your reading and writing too. Thank you so much. Great post, James. Thank you very much for sharing.